In the fluid, fast-paced doctrines of early war German maneuver warfare, mobile reconnaissance was not merely a supporting arm, it was the absolute vital vanguard of the entire Panzerwaffe. The Panzeraufklärungsabteilungen were charged with acting as the eyes and ears of the armoured divisions, surging miles ahead of the main tank columns to identify weak spots in enemy lines, secure vital river crossings and map routes of advance. To execute this dangerous, highly demanding mission, these scouts required vehicles that combined high speed, long operational range, reliable off-road mobility, and sufficient defensive armament to survive sudden encounters with enemy infantry and patrol units. Yet as the war progressed from the rapid, sweeping conquests of the Blitzkrieg years into the brutal, grinding attrition of the Eastern Front, Germany's mobile reconnaissance forces found themselves crippled by a chaotic, fragmented logistical system. The German military ran reconnaissance on a confusing, disorganized array of specialized platforms. There were light four-wheeled armored cars like the Sd.Kfz 222, which had thin armor and an open-topped turret that left crews vulnerable to shrapnel and hand grenades. There were heavy six-wheeled cars like the Sd.Kfz 231, which were mechanically delicate and struggled in the thick, deep mud of the Russian Rasputitsa. To make matters worse, Germany tried to bridge the off-road gap by relying heavily on complex light half-tracks like the Sd.Kfz 250 and Sd.Kfz 251. While half-tracks offered decent off-road traction, they were an absolute industrial nightmare to manufacture and maintain. They featured delicate track links, complex torsion bar suspension units, and rubber-clad road wheels that wore out rapidly under heavy combat conditions. The manufacturing hours required to construct a single light half-track chassis were nearly equal to that of a medium tank, straining Germany's finite industrial resources. As a consequence, German reconnaissance battalions on the Eastern Front were consistently under-strength, under-armed, and logistically starved of spare parts, frequently leaving entire panzer divisions blind, vulnerable to sudden flank attacks, and unable to react to rapid Soviet counter-offensives. The solution to Germany's reconnaissance crisis had actually been conceived before the invasion of the Soviet Union. Recognizing that future campaigns would take place over massive geographic distances, the German Army Ordnance Department initiated development on a brand new class of heavy-wheeled armored car. This vehicle was specifically designed to operate in the most demanding physical environments, ranging from the scorching, arid deserts of North Africa to the sub-zero winters of the Eastern Front. The pinnacle of this development program was the Sonderkraftfahrzeug 230-2, popularly known as the Puma. The Puma was a brilliant piece of military engineering that represented a radical departure from traditional armored car designs. Instead of utilizing a pre-existing truck frame, the Puma featured a highly advanced, purpose-built monocoque hull. This monocoque structure provided superior structural strength while keeping the vehicle's profile remarkably low to the ground. At the heart of the Puma was its advanced power plant, the Tatra 103, a 12-cylinder, air-cooled diesel engine. Unlike liquid-cooled gasoline engines, which were prone to overheating in summer and freezing solid in winter, the air-cooled Tatra diesel was incredibly reliable in extreme temperatures and consumed significantly less fuel, giving the Puma a staggering operational range of over 600 kilometers on a single tank. The vehicle's drivetrain was equally revolutionary, featuring a permanent 8-wheel drive system and independent suspension on all 8 wheels. Most uniquely, the Puma utilized an all-wheel steering system with dual steering wheels. It carried a dedicated rear-facing driver position, allowing the vehicle to reverse at full speed, up to 80 kilometers per hour at the first sign of trouble, a feature that saved countless crews during high-stakes scouting missions. coupled with a fully enclosed turret armed with the high-velocity. The pivot to standardizing on the Sd.Kfz 234 chassis required a complete overhaul of German wheeled armor production. In our historical timeline, the 234 program was fragmented into 4 specialized low-volume variants, with factories constantly switching tooling to produce minor variations of hulls, turrets, and gun mounts. This inefficient, fragmented system was swept away under Albert Speer's program of industrial rationalization. In early 1943, Speer consolidated all wheeled armored vehicle assembly at the Bussing Mag plant in Elbing and the Tatra factories in occupied Czechoslovakia, reorganizing them into high-speed, standardized conveyor belt lines. Under this new mandate, the 4 historical variants were condensed into 2 highly optimized, mass-produced configurations: the 234-2 Puma for high-speed reconnaissance and combat scouting, and the 234-4 Pak-Puma, which mounted a powerful 7.5 cm Pak-40 anti-tank gun on the open-topped 234 frame to act as a highly mobile tank destroyer. By eliminating the production of delicate light half-tracks and obsolete 4-wheeled scout cars, German designers was able to standardize almost every single subcomponent of the 234 chassis. The wheels, tires, steering linkages, gearboxes, and engine parts became fully interchangeable across all units in the field. Rather than carrying dozens of different spare parts, a division's maintenance company only needed to stock a single standardized set of components for its light armored forces. The armor of the Puma was also simplified, with the hull plates welded in large, flat, sloped sections that were easier to fabricate and offered superior ballistic protection. The highly complex 3-stage steering gear. In June 1944, the Western Allies launched the amphibious invasion of Normandy. In our historical timeline, German reconnaissance units in France were a fragmented mess of understrength half-track companies and obsolete wheeled cars that were easily brushed aside by Allied air superiority and heavy armor. But in this alternate reality, the Allied invasion forces encountered a highly organized, heavily armed screening wall. Positioned in the dense woodlands and hedgerows of Normandy were the fully equipped Panzer reconnaissance battalions of the 2nd Panzer Division and the Panzer Lehr Division, operating hundreds of standardized Sd.Kfz 234-2 Pumas. As Allied scouting units, such as the American M8 Greyhound and British Daimler armored cars, pushed inland to secure vital crossroads, they slammed into the aggressive German Puma patrols. The tactical superiority of the Puma was immediate. The Puma's 5 cm KWK-39 cannon outranged and outgunned the light Allied armored cars, destroying them at distances where the Allied 37mm guns could not penetrate the Puma's sloped front plates. Furthermore, the Puma's unique dual steering system proved decisive in the claustrophobic Normandy terrain. When ambushed by Allied heavy armor, the Puma's rear-facing driver was able to immediately reverse the vehicle at full speed down the narrow dirt roads, escaping into the cover of the hedgerows before Allied artillery could target them. These highly mobile scouting forces provided the German High Command with continuous, pinpoint-accurate intelligence on Allied movements while systematically blinding the Allied commanders. The Puma screening wall acted as an unbreakable shield, delaying the Allied breakout from Normandy and extracting a devastating toll in Allied reconnaissance assets. The standardization of the Sd.Kfz 234 chassis triggered a profound tactical revolution within the Panzeraufklärungsabteilungen. Historically, German reconnaissance units were fragile, under-equipped scouting formations whose primary doctrine was to observe and report while avoiding direct combat. If they encountered enemy patrols, they were forced to retreat, leaving their divisions blind. But with hundreds of standardized Puma armored cars flooding the front lines by early 1944, German commanders reorganized these battalions into aggressive, hard-hitting scouting and screening forces. The new Panzer reconnaissance battalions were equipped almost entirely with the Sd.Kfz 234 series. The core of the battalion consisted of Puma armored cars, whose high-velocity 5-Simter KWK-39 guns could easily overpower Allied reconnaissance vehicles. This offensive power allowed German scouts to fight for information, actively penetrating Allied screening lines to map their exact dispositions. Furthermore, the immense range of the Puma's air-cooled Tatra diesel engine allowed these battalions to operate up to 300 kilometers ahead of the main panzer divisions, providing unprecedented early warning of enemy movements. Behind the Pumas came the heavy 234-4 variants, mounting the 7.5cm Pak-40 anti-tank gun. This combination turned the reconnaissance battalion into a highly lethal, self-contained vanguard. If the strategic impact of standardizing on the Sd.Kfz 234 series reshaped the final year of the war, proving a historical truth that would guide post-war military design for decades. By prioritizing the high mobility, long range and mechanical reliability of a wheeled chassis over the high maintenance complexity of tracked half-tracks, Germany was able to maintain an operational presence on the battlefield that was impossible in our historical timeline. The Puma demonstrated that in the fluid, high-tempo environment of modern warfare, the speed at which intelligence can be gathered, processed, and acted upon is far more valuable than sheer armor thickness. The success of the Puma standardization program was studied extensively by post-war military planners from both the United States and the Soviet Union. The lessons of the Puma's 8x8 drive system, air-cooled diesel power plant, and high-velocity armament led directly to the development of the modern wheeled armored fighting vehicles we see today. The Soviet BTR series, the American Stryker, and the modern German Boxer-wheeled armored vehicle all trace their design lineage back to the revolutionary concepts pioneered by the Sd.Kfz 234 series. The Puma proved that the future of mechanized warfare belonged not to slow, heavy, tracked behemoths, but to highly mobile, heavily armed, wheeled platforms. It remains the ultimate testament to the triumph of wheeled mobility over tracked complexity, a steel Puma that outpaced history.